Hi guys, welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. I'm your host Liam. I'm here with Jack,
Howdy.
and we have just checked into the Murder Hotel. So we check in, and we've got Grantham May being panicky. We've got that strange symbol on the wall with the numbers 0178. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about really is that everyone's going into their rooms, and off the bat, mate, we have Erin and Jamie throwing a bit of banter together. And when they're talking outside before they even got in their room, I just thought to myself here, like, am I detecting a bit of a lesbian story? And yeah, like, behold, like, that is the case. You can get Erin and Jamie to hook up. I just kind of wanted your opinion on this, mate.
I think your gaydar is obviously a bit stronger than mine, because it wasn't until that they were sat on the bed together I was like, oh, hello. But yeah, like, I didn't expect it. It's certainly refreshing to see a lesbian relationship in these games. I've got to admit, I did play the romantic route, so they did kiss in my gameplay. And I don't know, I really liked the back and forth between them. I think Erin, she's the intern, isn't she? And Jamie's obviously the electric sort of spare crew person, and she seems to be the one, Jamie I'm talking about, to be the more confident, the more sort of spunky and willing to push things along. But when I actually leaned in for the kiss, she then pulled back and was like, what are you doing? And it did actually get me for a split second. And then she's like, oh no, I'm only joking, I wanted to kiss you for ages. And then they kissed.
Completely agree. The same happened for me, but one thing for me that I thought was really interesting is, like, this game's progressed a lot in the sense that I reckon there's going to be a lot of crowds out there which are happy with this game, because firstly, I think we forgot to mention that it's the first game that is throwing us a predominantly female heavy cast, so we've for the first time got 3 girls and 2 guys, but also I'm pretty sure it's the first super massive game, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, with an LGBT character. And I think that's just really good that they're being inclusive, that someone like we finally have Jamie to represent them on that game. So yeah, I just really liked it, and I must admit myself, I also did the exact same as you. I was a little hesitant because one criticism I have with these relationships, especially with Mark and Kate, and then Erin and Jamie, is I still feel I don't really know them, and they do this thing like, oh, do you want to kiss them? I would just sat there like, well, I don't know. Like, Jamie could be a horrible person. I don't really know their chemistry. Like, I don't feel like I'm in a position to make this informed decision here. I went for it anyway, because I just thought, why not? Because I thought it would be good for, like, the whole progressive nature. But yeah, no, that's what happened there, mate. It's nice to see that they've thrown that in there, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on my end, I was thinking, you know what, if I make them kiss, it's going to strengthen their relationship, which could be beneficial further down the line. So I thought, why not? But I've got to admit, there was a part of me as well, because the whole thing starts with her like dropping her inhaler or something, isn't it? Or like she drops something anyway that goes on.
Oh, the lip balm, yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah. I thought it was something to do with the inhaler, but at the time I was thinking, no, just go under the bed and grab it. It might be useful later on, but the scene carried on playing out, and she didn't end up going back for it, and I was like, oh, I don't know if that's gonna somehow play in later on. I mean, I really don't know how, but nonetheless, yeah, we we hear that someone's outside, don't we, mate?
Yeah, we do. Obviously, Charlie lurking about, and I mean the next section. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Kind of has this dynamic of the boss and the intern, I guess, who acts like the personal assistant. And I really like the dynamic of these two. Clearly, Erin's like this really shy, underconfident person who really wants to do good, and she clearly wants to do more with her job. Suggesting Charlie gets his own personal assistant. And then you've got Charlie, who clearly is a back and forth man. He has to be a leader, so he has to be a little strong and kind of, he can't get walked about on, which he does a good job at. He's like he's a firm person. But clearly, now this is what's going to happen for the next half an hour section. Your goal is to get that man some cigarettes. And I think I've told you this previously, but it throws probably some of the most enjoyable dialogue of the game, at this section. Charlie just throws the greatest zingers and liners at us I've seen in this probably in Supermassive Games history. I don't know if it's something for us, mate, because we're two British people, but some of his lines are incredible. Like when he's running up the hill and says, "Yeah, I'm fit as a butcher's dog," and it's just the impatient nature he has of when he's getting cigarettes. Erin offers him, "Oh, you should get a personal assistant." Charlie's there like, "Oh yeah, maybe they wouldn't lose my cigarettes." Now, I think a lot of people probably would think he's a bit of a dick, but it's just a very British way of talking, and I think you have to take what he says with a pinch of salt. And I just think he's an incredible character. I wasn't sure what you thought about his dialogue here, mate, and Charlie's kind of demeanour.
Absolutely. There was definitely a couple of points in this section where he said a couple of lines, and I wish I made a note of it. I can't remember them now, but I do remember thinking, "Oh, that's a great line." And I think Paul Kaye's delivery really sells it. And I'll say at this point that he is my favourite character in the game. I know that he does have this very edgy nature about him. He can be quite condescending in places, but just as a character, I find him so believable and so interesting, and that he has his flaws. And I think that's, what the characters that you ultimately get attracted to. He's got his vices, he needs his cigarettes. Obviously, people dig him out for it. And I was just really happy spending time with Charlie in this particular bit, mate.
No, I completely agree, and I love the scene where he's bashing the machine with the animatronic at the bar. It brings some great lines, and you think his fate might nearly get sealed at this point, but it doesn't. He hangs on, and we got more progression.
So there's this bit with Charlie and Erin where I think is it that she gives him an anxiety book. I'm mentioning this because this is something that does come into play later on, so I thought I'd note that. And he just tosses it down the corridor, doesn't he? I think you can only with Charlie look at the front cover and the back cover. I think later on you can actually look into it, look inside it when you play as Erin. So I thought I'd get that in there. But yeah, going back to Mark and Kate, like I said in the last episode, the chemistry doesn't jump out on screen for me. I think the chemistry between Erin and Jamie stood out for me a bit more because there was a bit of back and forth. Of course, these two are exes, so there's not going to be that. But I don't know, I didn't really see it on screen for me. I don't know about you.
No, not really. To be honest, again, like the other one, I just sort of said, "Oh, I don't really know much about them, so I can't really judge here." It's throwing a bit of backstory I don't really have enough meat on. I did think, though, that I've already set one couple up in a way. I don't know if I want to set a second one up because I don't want it to be too watered down in romance. Right. I thought it'd be a bit of variety if there was a good one and a bad one, maybe. So I definitely didn't go as full on. I definitely treated this one roll with the punches. There were bits where their dialogue, where Mark would say something that would annoy me, so I would be like, "No, what are you doing?" And then that would affect their relationship a little bit. So it never really got anywhere for me. I know for a fact, that there's a lot of outcomes you can have with Kate and Mark.
Yeah.
But mine was just pretty neutral. I didn't do anything special with them, to be honest, mate. The whole section that they have that comes up, I wouldn't say bad, a little tedious in areas. There's a lot of climbing, crawling through gaps.
Yeah.
To get these keys to go out on the balcony. It wasn't necessarily bad. I just think it dragged a little bit. We at one point watched this. You look at a little film at one point, don't you?
Yes. Is that when you find a newspaper, or is that when you find one of is it Dumais or Sherman's tapes or something?
I think it might be a tape, but it does happen to both. Both clues will trigger them.
Yeah.
And we mentioned this in the House of Ashes one, didn't we? Like, it's kind of just a nice welcome change of scene to read it clothes. So have a bit of kind of like movie time just to break it up a little bit. We're not just constantly reading clues like a walking sim.
Yeah.
And they're really well shot, actually. I really like the cinematography of these films, of like the blurred out, cut out faces, the police reports, kind of like the background noises going on. Yeah, I don't know what you thought of these scenes, mate, but I just thought it added another dimension.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad that they've brought this onwards, this whole extra gameplay thing from House of Ashes, because that was something I really praised House of Ashes for, and just to see the gradual things that they're bringing into this series, it is really, really welcome. I mean, there is like relative. There is. I mean, it's not difficult, is it? But the puzzle element, you know, when you get into that square room as Mark, and you have to go down the ladder, and you have to move the move the cabinet or whatever it was from one side of the room to the other, go up the ladder, walk across, drop the ladder, and then go down and move it again. So, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it did remind me of Alan Wake a little bit. There's a particular scene in Alan Wake, I think, when you're in like the mines or something, and you have to drop a ladder to go down, to walk around, to walk across. Like, I do welcome these things. Of course, like the pace did slow down. Like, I do agree with you on that front. But I didn't necessarily mind it, because at least it's not walking down a road.
The game's, yeah, like evolving. I was going to say it's a step up from just walking down some ship hallways or, you know, down some tombs, sort of, you know, passageways. We're actually getting a bit of puzzle and kind of like mind challenging as we're progressing through, like, you know, the kind of filler scenes almost. And it's a much better tone. It's a much better color on Supermassive games. So, you know, I quite like that. You know, when they eventually, you know, do what they need to do and they get back to the group, you come across H.H. Holmes's hat, don't you, mate?
Oh God, yeah. This was another one that got me. I was walking along, because I think there's a couple of things you can look at around here, and it did that typical thing where it sort of like zoomed in on the hat or whatever, and suddenly this mannequin like just absolutely jumps out. And I think it's definitely more the sound that gets you first, and then a split second after you then see what's in front of you, and it's obviously like a H.H. Holmes mannequin dummy that's got a knife in its hand. But yeah, I've got to say, they have been getting me with the jump scares so far in this game on the whole.
I'm going to talk about like the horror element of the game actually in a little while after the dinner scene, where we get to an Erin scene that I found really intriguing. But yeah, I mean, I must admit the hat jump scare kind of got me as well. And it's like you say, it's just the loudness. It's just, you know, if you're playing this game with your headphones on, it just really hits you. It's funny because Mark and Kate end up kind of having a bit of a rant and a bitch session on Charlie.
Yeah.
And yeah, they get caught, don't they? And it's quite a funny scene. Like, I feel like you're probably supposed to have your heart in your mouth, but that kind of chaotic nature I had was loving it. I was like, way they got caught.
Yeah.
And I was just I loved watching this unfold, to be honest. But I really kind of like it because it really adds that layer to the characters. We found out that, like, you know, Kate probably wants to hit heights that she can't because she clashes with like Charlie's direction. There's obviously a lot of tension between the director and the lead presenter, and it just really completes the cast a bit more. You know, they're not as wooden as some of the other games. You know, they actually have, you know, layers of humanity to them. And yeah, I don't know if you thought the same here, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk about how it played out for me. So I know when I was talking to Kate, she was talking about something, I think, as you say, about her ambitions and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure, though, that the first dialogue option that came up, I defended Charlie. And then after that, I then defended Kate. And I said, yeah, you know, go for it. Because I, you know, it's that thing when it comes up in the top left and it says your relationship with Kate has gone down because I backed Charlie up. When it then gave the option to big her up, I then did so. And then obviously after that, you then see Charlie come out and he's like, I'm disappointed in you, Mark. And I was like, mate, if you were just listening a few seconds before, you'd have heard me backing you up. So I don't know. Like I say, I wish he could have heard the whole conversation, but it is good and it makes you feel like that they are a crew. I think one of the criticisms for like other DPA games is like the sort of characters that are low key sort of shoehorned together. On paper, they might be brothers. On paper, they might be a couple, X, Y, and Z, but you don't necessarily feel like they are. Whereas in here, you can see the tension between Kate and Charlie, and for me anyway, you can see the blossoming romance between Jamie and Erin. So
Yeah, like even say the person who I would describe as the bleakest character would be Mark for me, and I would still say he's got so, way more layers than like anyone in Little Hope, like Daniel, Taylor. So it's just incredible, and I don't know if that's the length of the game and they had more time to work on the characters, but yeah, phenomenal improvement, in my opinion. So like, I mean, we get to this dinner scene, Jack, and like they're all kind of having this chat, waiting for Dumet to come, and obviously in an earlier scene we see that that's not going to happen because he's done a runner. Him and his daughter got on the boat and just left. I mean, my opinion of this was like, clearly he was panicky, and it's like, okay, so this man's left us on an island to just rot and die, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, what were your thoughts going on when this happened, mate?
I mean, it reaffirms my idea that I said in the last video. Was this really Grantham Dumet? Was this just a guy like pretending to be Dumet to get them on the island and then bugger off with his daughter? And then, of course, we've been talking about, even before we played this game, about that it's actually the spirit of H.H. Holmes that's going round killing you and stuff. So is it somehow that he's got this Dumet to lure people to the island for, his sadistic murdering and all that sort of thing? It's a bit of a puzzle, I've got to admit. I certainly didn't expect him to do a runner. It's made me sort of step back a little bit, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not so sure on this game as I once was before I was, going into playing it.
I just want to go back to the dinner scene real quick. Charlie does a speech. You can kind of go for two paths here, the nice one or the evil one. Am I right in assuming you probably picked the nice one, as same as me?
Yeah, I got an achievement that popped up. It said Charlie maintained control during dinner. So I know initially, when I had a thing, people really getting on his back. But I'm guessing maybe it's the second decision that counts, because I then rallied the troops. I was like, come on, let's be enthusiastic. Let's get the shoot going. And that seemed to bring everyone back round to some degree, and that's when the achievement popped. So yeah, I think it was the nicer of the two paths there, mate.
Yeah, same here. It's really nice, all the things he had, and like you can kind of do a specific choice for Erin, but I kept it nice, because I think you can mention a little dig about losing the cigarettes, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be nice still. It's interesting with Charlie, because I feel like a lot of people might think that he's like a horrible person, but I actually feel a little bit of, sadness for him. Clearly he's got this hold on this nicotine addiction. And clearly, he doesn't have a partner. He claimed earlier to Mark that he's married to the job. And I think that he's just this man who's just has one thing, and that's his business. Yeah. And he just really wants it to work. Yeah. And it must be so difficult for him having this, I mean, in his words, temperamental crew. But a crew that, probably you've got Kate, who's got booming ambitions to move on. He really wants a season 2 renewal, and he's got a lot riding on this more than anyone. And obviously he's the reason they're on this island and puts them, in a really difficult position. But you almost get why. And I don't know about you, mate, but I just felt really sorry for Charlie.
I do. Yeah, it's a point I sympathise with, especially the point where, he says that he, he's not married and that he's on his own. Like, you could say that this crew, if you want to think about it deeply, is his family in a way, because he's only got the job, and he's sort of seeing Kate wanting to go off and do her own things. Like, he might sense that that's being threatened, and hence why he's got sort of the the stress, and therefore that's why he's, smoking as much as he is. So it's, when you really dig deep and look into it, it's a brilliant bit of characterization. And even at this stage, I'd say that he's perhaps one of my favourite DPA characters across the entire of season 1.
Yeah, maybe even Supermassive, I think he's higher than some of the main blockbuster ones. What I'm also trying to do, mate, is sympathise the blow for when I get the Butterfly Effect podcast to go somewhere deathly. So you won't hate me as much when that's in a really precarious position.
Yeah, it's dangerous territory. When I say, because if we go by past experiences with Until Dawn and the Quarry, Chris is my favourite character. He dies first. Abby's my favourite character. She dies first. I'm now turning around and saying, yeah, Charlie's my favourite character. We shall see.
Okay, yeah, no, that'd be interesting. Because obviously, yeah, we reiterate Jack is still playing the game, so Jack doesn't really, know how his fate's gonna end. I know mine, and Jack doesn't know that yet. So I'll do like a recap in like the final episode of this podcast, I guess. But yeah, we move on to a bit where Erin moves on to her bedroom, and we have a little kind of audio sort of scene because Erin's the audio tech person, and you can hear all these noises down the hallway, and probably this might be the creepiest scene in the game. And one thing I like about this is that Supermassive games are almost relying less on jump scares. They're going for eeriness a lot more.
Yeah.
And that is much more my alley. I prefer that. I find jump scares can be really tacky at the best of times. So yeah, like, just tell us, mate, what did you think of this whole creepy Erin scene?
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. There's just something about, obviously, because the sound is right there. Like, if you're putting yourself in Erin's shoes, she's got the headphones on, she's got the microphone. The sound is like directly right in her ears. That's got to be terrifying. And the lights go out. And throughout this scene as well, of course, I'm pretty sure that the corridors change. So like in reference to like going back to like the scene with Jeff, there was points when I was walking round and I then maybe turned round to go back down a certain corridor, and I thought, wait, hang on, that's not what it looked like before. So it felt like that something shut behind me, which I thought was really cool. And obviously like the sounds in the microphone bleed in and out and stuff. I think I will touch on this anxiety book again, mate, which I don't know if it has any significance, but I'll raise it anyway. But as Erin in this bit, you can look in this anxiety book, and it talks about like how when you're in stressful situations, the best thing you can do is like to focus on your breathing and stay calm, and you can like imagine that you're in a relaxing place. And I don't know if this was like a little clue for like something coming up later on, so I had it in my mind at the time. But as a quick shoot off that as well, it did say something as well about how the author likes to think about going into space and thinking about other planets and stuff. And I was like, is that perhaps a nod to Directive 8020? So I put that in there.
No, nice, really bit of digging there. I like that. That's actually true. And yeah, like we'll refer back to that. Because like Erin, it goes Erin, Jamie, Erin to end this podcast here. And like the first Erin bit, she's obviously going down this hallway, and I don't know about you, mate, but I found it so creepy that you could hear like this gramophone that was crying and like sounds of death behind the walls.
Yeah.
And obviously there's been a lot of murder going on in this hotel from like previous visits and stuff. You could kind of tell but when you look through the log that the other people have been checking in. The latest ones were like the Morello family, which was literally just a week prior. So like there was literally a family in there a week before you. And it's just really interesting. And then you're hearing all this death, and I don't know if I'm mistaken, but it almost sounds like ghosts of like, or recordings of like the previous murders in the other rooms.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like it almost, I was wondering if you could probably hear Jeff and Marie in one of the rooms, because like if it is ghosts or previous sounds, then maybe we could hear our fellow prologue honeymooners in one of them. But yeah, like I really like this, and it ends on her being trapped. And when it does that, it skips back to Jamie. Now we have like more breaker puzzles, more kind of going through this maintenance room. There's not too much that's significant, but we do get this one bit where when we finish the whole puzzle, we can press a red button and we're treated to a barbershop quartet, aren't we?
We are, yeah, because in the build-up to that, you have the whole code for the door, don't you? There's a little bit of thinking, and you know what? There's another bit in this chapter as well. When you first take control of Jamie, I purposely turned round and went back into like the lobby, like, you know, the room with the bar, or not the room with the bar, but just the general lobby area.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I looked at the sort of like the reception desk, and there was a script there that had it was sort of like what they wanted to do for the show and stuff. And it had that there was, I think Jamie says like, oh, you know, you can tell that Kate and Charlie are experiencing conflict as how they want this show to go. But then I looked back on the stairs and it said that it was up to like 180. It wasn't on 178 anymore, and I was like, wait, it's gone up by 2, so I don't know what's going on there. So that's another question mark that I can think about going forward.
Yeah, I still, to this day, don't really know what it symbolised, but one thing that my brain did race to was, I think those are probably to do with, like, the room numbers, because, you know, if you look, they're staying in rooms like 0181, you know, Erin's room is 10181, and the thing says 181, so I think they are literally matches of the rooms. So I have a feeling that it might be something to do with like whose fate's next or who he's spying on. I'm unsure, and if in the comments you could point me in the right direction, but for some reason I have a feeling it's to do with the rooms, mate.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll keep that in mind then.
Before we move on to like the final Erin bit, I just want to say, and now I didn't notice this at the time because I'm not gonna lie, the barbershop quartet mannequins freaked me out. That I just was like, as soon as I got the key, I was out there because I was ready for like one to grab my hand. This game does a lot of grabbing a key in front of a dead body, and I hate it. I'm always trying to like dash, you know, like at the moment I get the object I came in for. Now I kind of, in doing this, I missed out on something that my brother pointed out to me. On replay, though, I could kind of tell. Did you recognise what the barbershop quartet sung?
No, it certainly didn't jump out to me in terms of, no, I can't remember. Why, what was it?
It's a rendition of Oh Death, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, no, I didn't realise that. I think I was too scared that they were going to somehow pull out machine guns or something like that and gun me down. But no, I didn't.
It's literally, I thought, especially after the animatronic in the bar, I was like, I don't trust their kind of like erratic, unpredictable nature. I was like, I'm getting out of this room. You know, I'm not having these mannequins near me. So like, obviously we end on this Erin scene. So like the last we saw, she was trapped in this dark room. The rest of the group come up towards her, trying to save her. I mean, I'll let you take the lead on this one, mate. Tell us a little bit about what you did.
Oh wow! So a bit of context beforehand. I found a picture frame, and it showed a premonition of something like a figure that looks like H.H. Holmes going up and stabbing Erin in the neck, and obviously killing her. So then when I saw this scene played out, I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is going to be the scene. Potential death here." So I was like leaning forward, you know, in anticipation, and. It comes back to that damn anxiety book again, because it said, you know, when you're in a panicky situation, stay calm. And the options that were coming up were like, you know, because she can hear Jamie and Charlie outside and they're like, yeah, we're going to come in, we're going to get you. It said that you could either use your head, your heart, or say nothing. And I was thinking, does saying nothing mean that you're calm and that you're going to be okay? But then the option was there to say like, oh, you know, guys, you need to get me out. I've lost my inhaler and this and that. So I chose the head decision. And then when the presence comes in and another choice comes up, I was like, oh God, again, do I say nothing? Do I stay calm? But I didn't. I chose the head decision again, which was, oh guys, I'm really frightened. You know, something's in here with me. And then the choice come up, and it said, you know, because the figure holds the inhaler out. Do you take the inhaler or do you attack? Now, I was like, I'm not going to attack because, do you know what I mean? Like, that could just bring about the end. Then when I went to take the inhaler, he then, like, grabbed me and pinned me against the wall. And I was thinking back to that premonition. I was like, oh, fuck, like, I've chosen the wrong way. Like, he's going to kill me now. I've got Erin killed. And then all he does is, I think he takes, like, a little clip of her hair or something. So I don't know if that's, like... you know how killers, they'll sort of collect bits of their like victims or something and keep it as like a trophy. I don't know if it's to do with that. But
I had a theory it's to do with them maybe building the mannequins.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like to almost, you know, replicate them as closely as possible. And then he obviously just drops her and leaves, and then she's able to grab the inhaler and she's rescued. But I've got to admit, like, I think you told me, didn't you, that is the first possible death of the game. It really did have me on edge. As soon as he pinned me against the wall, I was thinking, oh my god, like the first opportunity, I've got her killed. But thankfully, she's all right at this point.
Yeah, I think I did the exact same as you because, I mean, I know I did. I don't know why I said I think. But I did the exact same as you. I also thought, yeah, it would be a bit dumb to attack the guy who seems much bigger than me. I'm in a dark room. I'm pretty much at his mercy here. He's offering me an inhaler. And I need that to survive. I'm gonna, like, kind of take it. Because at this stage, we don't really know this guy's game.
No.
So I just thought, you know what, I'll play along. I'll take the inhaler. I don't think I used it. But yeah, and everyone comes in. And obviously, Charlie, you know, this is the classic. Oh, I believe maybe you were seeing something. And yeah, it concludes that chapter. But yeah, I can indeed confirm this is the first possible... death of the game at the hands of Erin. But yeah, like, so it's as early as now where characters can start dying off. Now this is as far as you've got, Jack.
It is, yeah.
So you're about to go away and play the rest of the game now, and then obviously we'll meet and do another podcast once you hit a curator scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, just now you know that the first possible death is coming. You know that the options are going to get intense from now on, mate. They're going to come thick and fast. And any QTE fail, any dialogue fail you might do, mate, might kill someone. So you know, it's at this point, mate, where you've got to make sure you're kind of wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, and you know, tuned in, basically, mate, because it gets heated.
Time to get a coffee, I think, so that I'm warmed when it comes to playing this next bit. I mean, the thing is, right, my record's pretty trash for these DPA games. I usually get 2 or 3 people out. So it would be an absolute miracle to keep even 4 alive, let alone 5. But we shall see. I'll certainly try my best, unlike Detroit, where I was a little bit more reckless. But yeah, let's do it.
Right, sounds good, mate. Well, enjoy the rest of the game. I'll see you in the next one. And thank you very much for joining, guys.
Thanks, everyone.